Hello and welcome to all of our lovely AXLPA members. This will be a very short video walkthrough of our new Continuing Competence program. So the option to fill out your CCP for 2022 is now open in Alinity, and it will remain open until your renewal is finished. So the first step in completing your CCP is to access the website for any resources or information you might need to get ready. There will be some quick reference buttons that will appear here eventually, but until then we will do it the old-fashioned way under members and applicants, and then the Continuing Competence program. So this page has a vast array of information here, including a little video put together by our SLP practice advisor Sharia, which will cover more of the content-specific aspects of the CCP this year, but you can also find plenty of other information, including a contact form if you have any questions, and some sample forms and examples. We will be using these examples to fill out our sample CCP today. So the second step to this process is to hop on over to your member login in the Alinity member portal and log in. Once you are logged in, you want to go to My Learning, and then you can select the 2022 registration year from this list. This list will have all of the years in which you've completed a continuing competence submission, and you can go back to any of those years and look at your submissions anytime, including your 2022 submission. For most of our members, 2022 probably won't be on this list. There will be instead a little plus button here that you can press, and it will let you add 2022 as your registration year. Now once your form is open, you'll see that this step is actually broken into 3 parts, which you can see at the 3 tabs at the top here, and you can use these tabs to navigate between the 3 different options. 2 things to note before you start working on the content of your submission. First, remember to use the chevron in the upper corner of the portal to navigate instead of the back button on your browser. Second, if you want to gather resources ahead of time to help your submission go a little faster, you may want to have the details of at least 2 of your continuing education activities from the last year, as listed here. And you may also want to have a conversation with a peer in mind for the peer dialogue reflection. Then you're ready to start your submission. Beginning with the continuing education report, I'll check off some activities. Again, the information I'm using for this walkthrough is from one of the example submissions on the website. While I am checking off 3 activities here, we are only asking for a minimum of 2 activities to be submitted. It's good to keep in mind that whenever we request minimum amounts in the CCP, we really only need you to report that minimum, even if you have participated in many more competence activities throughout the year. When filling out text boxes, you'll see a maximum character limit in gray lettering. If you're typing your responses and notice that the words have stopped showing up, this is because you've likely reached the character limit. For question 2 here, there's no specific format that you have to use for describing these activities, just enough detail that if someone needed to look it up, they could. And I've pre-filled out the rest of the continuing education section here. Once you're ready, you can use the blue button at the bottom of the page to navigate to the next section. Now I've already pre-filled these out from the example, so we go a little bit faster. But one of the things to note here about the peer dialogue is that the first question is if you will be completing the peer dialogue reflection for this year. So the no option is for members who have extenuating circumstances. You might recognize the language peer dialogue reflection from previous CCP that you would have filled out for AXLPA. This is a different process this year, and it's something that you have to complete every year. So this no option is specifically for people with extenuating circumstances. And so if you select that no, the reflection box will show up here. It's also important to note that if you check that no box, your entire submission is going to be audited for this year. So not just your submission under this peer dialogue reflection tab, but both your continuing education and risk supports will also be looked at. So we'll select yes. And again, I've just filled this out already from the example on our website. You'll notice here in question 7 that when you select the competency areas, there won't be a reflection box that shows up. That's normal. And then we can move on to the risks and supports profile. Again, I've already filled this out. This is broken into sort of 2 sections, the risks section, which is in question 2, and the support section, which is in question 3. And so now we've reached the end of filling out our submission, and there are 2 buttons at the bottom here which are pretty important. The Save for Later button will allow you to save your submission for later. It's an important button to check in with every so often because occasionally Alinity will time our members out after periods of inactivity. It should save your submission if it does this automatically to you, but it is a good idea to just click this every so often. And when you do click that Save button, a little green box will pop up in the corner here, letting you know that it has been successfully saved. So now that we've gone through all 3 tabs and we're confident that our submission is finished, we can press this Submit button. Even after you've hit the submit button, you can still go back and edit your 2022 submission until the point that you've submitted your renewal for this year. I mentioned earlier that we have sample CCP forms available on our website. They look like this, and when you fill them out and press submit at the bottom, it will send a copy of the form that you filled out to the email that you've added at the top. This form is not your actual CCP submission. You'll still need to go into the member portal and fill out the sections there as I've previously showed in this video. You can use the sample forms on the website, however, as a way to get a head start on your CCP work without having to go into the real submission. The email that's sent to you will look a little something like this. And if you want, you can even copy and paste directly from that email into your submission. And that covers the CCP program for this year. Best wishes, and I hope everyone has a great continuing competence and renewal season.